So, good morning or good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for joining Design Charcha through Sadeya. I have my colleague here, Amrita Datta, who's the vice chair for Sadeya, and I'm Archana Shekhara, serving as the chair and founder of Sadeya. And welcome everyone and thank you so much for joining Design Charcha again. So, what is Design Charcha? Design Charcha is a series that manifests in the form of open conversations, presentations, collaborations, and dialogues. Charcha translates to discussion, debate, or discourse in several South Asian languages. This series aims to bridge the gap between transcontinental perspectives and research by inviting participants from beyond the South Asian diaspora. And we have our guest here. Thank you so much, Gurkhan, for joining us. And Amrita will be introducing Gurkhan. Thank you, Amrita.
Thank you, Archana. We have a couple more people waiting in our waiting room, so I let them in. All right, thank you all for joining. We see a couple of our students, so like familiar names to Gurkan and me. But thank you all for joining us. Jürgen is a wonderful colleague of mine at Heron. So he is an interdisciplinary artist and researcher whose work bridges the fields of video art, motion design, digital media, and critical theory. As I said, he's an assistant professor at Indiana University in Annapolis at Heron School of Art and Design. With a focus on the intersections of technology, art, and design, Gherkin's artworks are inspired by science, politics, and ecology. He merges these concepts to create imaginary worlds, games, satires, and visualizations. His work has also been showcased in international exhibitions, and he has contributed extensively to academic discourse through publications and presentations. So we are extremely honored to have him join us in this discussion. And yeah, if you want to take over and share your work with us.
Yeah, hello everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank you all for having me. I mean, it's a great opportunity to share my work with you and meeting with you. So let me share my screen, of course, like desktop to I think. So, all right. So I think everything looks okay. So, okay. So, just info while I'm talking, I'm gonna share some links in the chat so you can watch the videos or some details about the work I'm talking about. So, um, who am I? I studied very traditional graphic design and then visual arts and visual communication design, and my PhD was about design technology in and society. So I had also additional, education in musical theory, robotics, politics, culture, and game design. So I'm in, a little bit all over the places in design and art. So I try to find my way during my education. But my mainly studied, as I said, traditional graphic design through the motion graphics. So I've been teaching for almost 15, 16 years in several universities in Turkey and the United States. So I am, I call myself, practice-based researcher and scholar because I focus on not just only scholarly research, I also focus on the practice-based motion uh, art, like video art and the motion-based work. So I have a couple of artworks that I'm going to share today to talk about my artistic and design process. So as Amrita said that, my artworks mainly focus on, science, politics, and ecology. So, I am researcher, so I like reading, I like doing research, I like, finding new concepts. So my idea is always related with merging with these concepts to come up with practical solutions. So my research, actually, my interest started when I was an undergrad degree. So I created some kind of a punk band, visual branding, and then shoot the music video using motion graphics, video arts, and etc. And after that, in my grad degree, I focus on also motion graphics and video art with merging with the sonic art, and my PhD was about also the title sequences, so motion graphics. So actually my cultural background, so I am from Turkey, so I grew up with watching lots of very horrible Turkish fantastic films from mid-century. So I always had a fascination with these kind of movies. And that's why I wanted to pursue my PhD about this topic. So in my dissertation, I focus on more researching and understanding how we can understand and analyze, moving pieces, moving words, and how these things can affect our culture. So during this kind of process, so I also focus on lots of practical based work too. So like the one of them is here's the link on the chat. So one of them is the actually re-representation of Himaris Bosch's gardens, the Garden of Earthy Delights. It's a triple painting from him. So I use artificial intelligence tools to create futuristic animated version of the artwork. So these are three screens, like a triptych work, original triptych work, and then I created them as panels, but these are loop animations. So and then my aim was to how his imaginary world can be extended to the galaxy for the future. So I created, like as a hell, I created a black hole, some kind of a futuristic version of it, and for the future, I presented it as a, in the future. So and also the Garden of Eden is different, etc., etc. For this work, I use lots of generative AI and the other things. So it was exhibited in Istanbul, Chicago, and Miami in a couple of festivals. So the second one with the, when I said the cultural thing, so here's a little bit video about it. So there was one significant event in Atlantic Center for the Arts, and the Atlantic Center for the Arts is in Florida, in New Smyrna. But the Smyrna names come from Turkey, so it's an old Greek town in Turkey. So my friend, he is my colleague, Chad Abbey, and me created some kind of a cultural connection between old and New Smyrna and created a audiovisual performance. 15-minute audiovisual performance aims to create sonic and visual relationships between old, new, especially the cyber Smyrna. We use also generative AI to think about the cyber Smyrna, to understand the past, present, and the future relationship between the cities and their history. Because the name is the founder of the New Smyrna, they were his wife from Old Smyrna. She was a Greek. So we met the mayor there and they were so fascinated. So we donated the work to the Atlantic Center for the Arts. So it was a very nice performance with lots of, mayor and lots of representative from this town. So our aim, as I said, try to create this kind of connection between my culture and the culture in the United States and thinking about the future. So the other one, it is called echo chamber. So the echo chamber, the echo chamber ecosystems. The echo chamber is a closed environment where people can only hear their own ideas and do not encounter the, opposition idea. So in this work, um, in this work, I try to create a vertical video and then try to imitate the social media scrolling to imitate the media echo chamber. So I try to create some kind of a noise and distortions and using lots of cliche ideas from the social media to give the concept of the echo chamber. So that was my aim uh, to create this kind of motion graphic. So it is an artwork, but my background is in design, so think I don't believe in this kind of lots of distinction between the works or the how to take your work, etc. So I call myself artist, but sometimes designer. So I'm a little bit interdisciplinary uh, in position. So the the last project, but I'd like to talk about my process, my motion process, is the aftermath of climate crisis during Korea reviewed. So it is a video installation. So it was funded by the Han Artist of Distinction Award and also Frank Springer Family Innovative Faculty Award by Heron School of Art and Design. So it is actually an um, artwork based on world's biggest and um, oldest underground city in the world. So Derinkuyu underground city is the biggest underground city, and it is located in Turkey. So my idea was to understand this Derinkuyu and create some kind of an artwork using artificial intelligence. So in in that part of the presentation, I want to talk about my process and how my background as a researcher and designer and scholar affects my artistic artwork. So how I'm creating my artwork, what is my creative process. So I started with, of course, with the research. So I've been to Derinkuyu Underground City a couple of times, even I was a kid, and with my wife and my family all the time. It was very close to my hometown. So in almost 3,000 years ago, the the civilizations they decided to carve and create this underground city because of the harsh conditions they face, and also they wanted to hide from the invaders. So it is a it can be occupied by 20,000 people, and it is 8th floor. So it's a huge city with the church or school or the other spaces, residencies, places of worships and etc., etc. So, and it is right now a UNESCO heritage site. It's a national museum. Just only 10% is open as a museum because it's very dangerous to it's like a labyrinth. So they created this city because they wanted to hide, and all entrances are hidden inside of the houses and the church. So no one, there is no public entrance to the city. So they discovered the city in the actually in the Ottoman era. No one used it because of there was a peace, and then so they discovered the city in the late 60s. One of the villagers, he wanted to illegally extended his house, and then he realized that his chickens are getting lost. So, and then he found this immersive city in Cappadocia region. So there are many underground cities in that region because of the rock formations. They are volcanic formations, easy to carve. So, but this one is the biggest one, and there are like almost hundreds of them around the area. So my so as I said that I like research, I like reading history, I like this kind of thing. So I read lots of, boring articles about Derinkuyu, and then lots of, technical details about the Derinkuyu, etc., etc., and the Cappadocia region, especially its history and how people use it. So, and technically how it is made, why, etc., etc. So, and after that, I also think about why this kind of city is still valid even today and for the future. So when I think about the climate crisis, so I think it is the only real apocalypse. So that there are lots of new trends, building lots of bunkers and shelters and etc. because of the climate crisis. So, and I realized that, our ancestors use almost the same idea to build this shelter. So it was their shelter, and we are still repeating the history to continue to build this kind of shelters because of the climate change, because of the other things, and etc. Even when you look at the pop culture or the games or the, like literature, science fiction, you can see that there are lots of references to this kind of, shelters or bunkers, etc. For example, there is a one, it's called? There is a one game, Fallout. There's even a series or the other ones. They're always, fascinate. This kind of shelters are always fascinated. So when I was a kid, also I was in a neighborhood with in the same neighborhood with the government. So they had a huge shelter for the Second World War. They built a huge shelter, and but it was abandoned because Turkey didn't enter the Second World War, but it was an abandoned huge shelter for the member of parliaments. So I grew up in that shelter, my friends and I, hanging out in that shelter. So it was very dangerous, some unhoused people, weird people using drugs and etc. But I grew up inside of this, I was, playing games, hanging out that shelter. It was a very weird shelter, but my background is like I always fascinated this kind of things. And of course, the climate crisis. So as a researcher, I have also, I've been researching this Derinkuyu city for almost 9, 10 years. So my colleagues and I been researching them as also, we have been researching the city's also acoustic identity, so auditory explorations. So we are also thinking that how people survive in the city because of it's so dark, there's no electricity, of course, and then how they communicated each other, how the ventilation system worked. So we have a couple of articles about the city, and then still we have a PhD student in Turkey. She is still pursuing her PhD about this topic too. So we presented these works in the couple of conferences in Europe. So, and the after researching, of course, the field trip, my favorite one, me and my wife visited the site again. So she helped me a lot. Uh, Thanks to her, we visited the city and then we stay in the, we visited the city and then I try to re-experience the city as an individual, try to understand how these people lived there and why they built it. So my also another aim was to 3D scan couple of rooms. So I use couple of apps to 3D scan couple of tools, and then also understand the architectural features of the city. So I 3D scan the couple of rooms, church, kitchen, and etc., and also try to understand how they build it. So, and the second fascination for me is to science fiction. So I'm, being nerd, it's so weird term, but I mean, I really like reading science fiction. So that's why, and also history. So I am interested in what happened 2000 years ago and what will happen 2000 years later. So I don't care about today. So that's why I try to merge two of them to create this work. So I read lots of history books about ancient civilizations in Anatolia and their conflicts and their daily lives and then other things. And also I read lots of science fiction to imagine the future. So, like for example, there are lots of, as I said, so this kind of shelters, they're so popular in the popular culture right now. So I read and watch many films, TV shows, and also read lots of science fiction about this topic. So, and the second stage was, third stage, like the first research reading, second site visit, 3D scanning, and the third one is the production. The production started with the planning. So my plan to create some kind of a huge detailed work. So because I had almost 8 months, so I spent my first 3 months reading and planning. So after that, I created this kind of a plan to imagine the visuals. So how this city in the future could be used again. So that was my aim. So I changed a couple of things, reimagined a couple of things for the future. So that's why I created this kind of, this kind of wall. So in this wall, this mood board, it's not a mood board, but this kind of a sketch. So I planned my visual style too. So there are, of course, architectural sections and couple of also illustrations to represent this city. So I use them as references to reimagine for the future too. So, and after that, I addressed the problem of climate change, so its effects on our planet. So my plan is to like how people lived and survived together again and again and apply this for the future to understand how ancient, underground city inhabitants can help us to survive and build our future lives. So, and in the production stage, I use generative AI tools to create lots of AI images. I ask AI to imagine the future using the using lots of references. So I upload lots of sketches, my or reference visuals, my sketches to AI to reimagine the future. So uh, I created almost 25,000 generative AI images to reimagine the future for each like you can see that for each room or each detail. So it took like 3 4 months to generate all the images total. So because I was sketching, I was also merging, I was also mixing, and then creating this prompts, and then ask AI to create this visuals for the production. And after that, you know, I use AI as a collaborative, and I was like a collage artist to merge, synthesize, process, and collage the all AI works with my sketches. So I for each room and each scene or even each detail, I use many AI images, merge them, cut them, paste them, collage them, synthesize them, process them. And also I use lots of Photoshop, new AI tools to merge them too, like, or even myself, this kind of things, very old school Photoshop skills I use. But for each scene, tiny little room, I create lots of images. And so after that, I composed the whole video. So I created almost, it's an estimate, I think, 42 animated scenes for the work. So these are old, detailed animated scenes. So as you can see, couple of them here in details. So let me share the 30-second. Oh, so, here. Sorry, this one on the chat, so you can watch it for the scene. So these are all detailed, like as you can see that there are electric generators. So, but because it is about the future, or there are some, helping, some kind of robots or the other technological tools and the things that are helping human to survive inside of the city, like here too. So you can see that there's a kitchen, there are some kind of security forces they're training, or ventilation system, or the animals, and also living space. So animals, the ancient civilizations, they placed the animals in the first floor. So because they were hiding from the enemies, and the animals, stables are the to great distraction for the enemy, like because of the noise, because of the smell, because of the dirt, and because of the other things. So they don't understand how, big it is and how these people are hiding inside of it. So they always place the animals in the first floor to hide. And also, as I said, I took some music classes from Butler University, some a music class from Butler University. So I learned how to play duduk. So, duduk is a traditional instrument from Anatolia and Armenian and Anatolian traditional instrument. So I always wanted to learn. So, and this project gave me two opportunity, financially and mentally and physically to learn this traditional instrument. So I learned how to play duduk, but the work is related for the future. So I have a couple of analog synthesizers and the digital works. So I combine traditional music with the more a little bit futuristic music. So I also, use couple of ancient whispers or ancient songs, style things to combine with the, futuristic digital digital instruments I use. So, and installation is like 75-inch screen. So I instead of a projector, I use a very detailed, high quality HD digital screen because it has lots of details. So it should be these details should be visible. So this kind of huge detailed HD screens are better for me instead of a big, low quality projectors. So I use the screen to present my work. Of course, there's it's a 7 minute video. It has loops inside, but also it has a musical component of it. So, so I think my work, my work is like allows me to explore this concept, this cultural and social aspects to reimagine for the future. So to understand how our ancestors, how our how our grandparents survive and how these abilities can help us and construction techniques can inspire us for the future. So that was actually my aim. So here's my creative process. So it's like, research is the biggest part, almost uh, half of my creative research, creative process is my research. So, and after that, I focus on creation and production. But first, I always focus on the research in my work. And after that, ideation, concept development, and the music and the site visiting and the exhibition. So here's my actually creative process for each motion work I created. And as I said, research, ideation, planning. Planning is also a huge part because of also not just only planning of the visual, also planning of the how I'm going to present it as a deliverable. Like, is a video a good idea, or a projection is a good idea, or a TV is a good idea, or a little website is a good idea. So medium is also the part of my research. So how I'm going to represent it using because I believe that not like Marshall McLuhan, medium is the message, but medium is part of the message that help me to give the message. So that's why I use, the screen instead of projector or a website or interactive text. So, and sketches and prototyping. So I use, like I said, many sometimes generative AI, sometimes, field recording, sometimes other things, sit down in front of the laptop. My eyes were bleeding, but focus on, creating, sketching, and prototyping process. So these are important. So I created many different kinds of prototypes. The first one was a terrible one, and the second one I sometimes, send my wife, text my wife the photo of the prototype and ask her opinion. She's an artist too. Or even my parents, I sometimes sent them, okay, what do you think? Like, because they know the city, they've been there a couple of times. And when I was a kid, we traveled them a lot. So, and it was so, I always value this kind of critics from different people and the evaluation process and the execution. So sometimes the execution uh, cannot uh, cannot represent what you have been done so far. So, but sometimes you need to finish the work. For example, I finished this work in October, but I believe that if I do this again, I have lots of things in my mind that I couldn't finish. Even 25 generative AIs, they're not enough to create this kind of artwork, I believe. So maybe hundreds of thousands of them, maybe more focus on the other things. But I believe that design and art, there are, especially art is, especially the motion videos, they are the expression, and but the concept, the idea are the important things than the first medium. So thanks so much for listening. Thanks so much for your patience. Thank you, everyone. So if you have any questions, suggestions, so I'm here to answer. Thanks so much.
Thank you so much for sharing, Gurkhan, bringing your own cultural identity, your heritage, and your playfulness, right, from your childhood days, and making it as a project, like going back home and talking about that, and then sharing with your own family members for their opinions, and then that's great that you're open to that sort of criticism as well.
Actually, I am not, but I have to do it, I'm not so open to criticism sometimes, but sometimes I have to do it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great. But my question is, as you were kind of, I mean, I don't know much about AI, so pardon me if my question sounds kind of very silly or like, or ignorant. Um, as you told us that you generated about 25,000 images. And how do you go by doing that? How do you go by sorting it out? How do you even go by arranging them? Because I know you said you did a few in Photoshop and whatnot. So using those archaic ways of cut paste and doing all that collage. How does that even work?
Oh, you're muted, Gherkin.
Sorry. Can I share my screen again? Maybe it's better for me to focus here. Yeah. So how I sorted out, my first of all, I plan. That's why I said like planning is important. Before creating anything on AI, before sketching, before anything visual, I finish my research and I already planned the architecture and every visual of the city, the visual, how I'm going to represent the artwork, how I'm going to express this question. So that is why this can you see? Okay, maybe that's why this planning is important. These details are important. So as you can see that like let me check presenter view. Okay. So here, maybe you can see that the storage rooms, kitchen, soldiers, groundwater, headquarters, and etc. These are all, I try to create this kind of detailed plan. So after creating detailed plan, I focus on, like I talk, I focus on like thinking about the hospital for the future, but it's a cave. How these people, you know, because there was no hospital during back then. So I thought about, creating some kind of imaginary hospital for the future. And then it's like I did lots of sketches and I collect lots of inspirational works and I upload them and I ask AI to reimagine it for the future. So, or for the temple, for the church, what kind of things we will have, what kind of belief systems we will have in the future. So I always wanted to, I planned my, my work because otherwise as you said, that it is too hard, too difficult to manage this kind of things. But it took like 3 4 months to create all of them. So, and each of them like, weeks to create this kind of images. So the planning, as I said, yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Gurkin. I had a quick question. When you're working on something with AI, and it's kind of, as you were talking, it made me think of like the iterative process. So when do you know that it's at a good spot when you're working with AI? Like it's okay for me to like move on to from the hospital to the kitchen or something like that.
So, I mean, it's a nice question because you cannot know it's a good spot. So it's like creating an artwork or any design. So you cannot know it's a great logo for that's a great logo for the Nike, right? So you cannot know that. So that's why you need to research. I did lots of research about the games and the other things that I don't want any, like conflict of interest with the other science fiction or the other things. So my plan is, I only use my gut to imagine and also my research because I collected lots of artworks. I collected lots of visuals from the games and the science fiction movies and the literature, so other things. That's why I wanted to create something like in quotation unique concept. So even though there are lots of visual references, of course we are artists, designers, we use lots of visual references, so trends and etc. But I mean, who knows? I don't know. Like, yeah. Thank you.
Any questions from our listeners or audiences? I have a question. How do you bring this sort of learning and research into the classroom?
So, um, so in my classworks, there are lots of stages. Um, but the but the first stage is always research. So whether it's whether like research on topic or finding some inspiration, like similar works have been done so far. So and then I ask students to represent this research to me or some inspirational work for each stage. For example, for the motion graphics class, So I ask my students find some visual references or some research about the topic I gave them, or even my user experience courses. So, go out and research about the topic, not just only interviewing with people, finding some scholarly research or another research like the company is doing to create branding or something. It doesn't matter. But find some similar ideas. Finding similar research, finding similar concepts, getting some inspiration. These are important things. And the planning also, because we have lots of students. So that's why I need to know their plan and how they are going to execute the work. So I always ask them, what's your plan? So what's your plan to do that? What are your steps? So sometimes they come up with, like kinder surprises, out of nowhere, some projects out of nowhere, but sometimes they show the progress. And sometimes I ask them to read or watch a couple of movies about, or read some literature about the work that I give them. So, and I always sometimes watch together. Thank you.
I assume students are pretty excited to do these kind of innovative projects, especially with in motion, because not many universities offer motion graphics itself as in the curriculum. Like sometimes, like within our own university, we embed a motion class. I mean, sorry, a motion project within the larger sequence. Or we also have a digital media 3 class for the BFA students where they do various types of interaction or interactive experience for students. But then focusing just on motion graphics is kind of wonderful, I'm sure, like your students to give them all these various new opportunities and I assume you're talking about AI in the classroom as well.
Yeah, I think, I mean, graphic design is right now, we call it visual communication. So motion is a important part of it. So even the sound. So, and it is developing. So there are now new mediums are coming. So that's why this kind of things are important, and the students should have this kind of skills. Even I don't think there should be a separate course, but some course should embed this kind of techniques or this kind of ideas because it's a different storytelling technique. So it is different actually how to say something, how to storytell using motion or a website or a social media or branding or a poster or something. So these are different techniques. So, and I think each student should experience this kind of techniques, whether they're gonna do some, graphic design traditional or UX or something else. So it doesn't matter, but they should have this kind of experiences and learn this kind of techniques. In my undergrad, we had a video courses like 25 years ago or something, but they're not like this, not so detailed. But we were self-learners and then we learned ourselves. But here is more open. There are lots of videos on the YouTube. They're free, free softwares, there are lots of opportunities to learn this kind of things. So the professors also should be open-minded to this kind of techniques, not just only, motion graphics, also AI or other emerging technologies and the concepts. So whether they like it or not, they should be open-minded because otherwise their students cannot be survive in the business, so in the corporate life. So yeah.
I mean, that is so true in terms of design education. It's like, faculty to kind of catch up and know what is going on. Um, and we do teach video we have a separate video a program itself, but then we also integrate motion graphics within our different classes as well, just like how you were saying. But I was just curious to know how students take on like generative AI and how they respond to it, and what next even for you, like in terms of your own research. Are you working on something currently?
Yeah, so like last year we did a project with and this year we did a project with the music department, and then my students created lots of visuals for their concert, their final work presentation in a local theater cinema. So we had this kind of collaborations a lot with the music department. This year we had a collaboration with the biology department. My students create animations for the biology department, so to promote biodiversity in the city. So we have lots of collaborations. So for the future, I think I am too tired waiting for my sabbatical. Besides, I have a couple of projects for this city. So my plan is to develop more and different experiences for this underground city. So I have lots of emails going on to develop this kind of technologies or something. So I have a couple of ideas, but they're so rough, and I am a little bit tired waiting for my sabbatical. Staring at the wall for months. I know my wife is here that she says probably you can't do that, but at least I have a couple of ideas to improve this project. So we'll see. Yeah, but thank you.
Well, thank you so much. And any other questions from our audience? Anyone? Any last thoughts, Gurkhan, that you have?
Thank you so much for having me. I mean, it's a great opportunity, and thank you everyone for coming and listening my presentation. Thank you so much for having me. It's a great organization. Thank you.
I mean, we
Appreciate
are
it.
really honored that you joined us, Gurkhan. We did not know much about how design's done in Turkey, so you really gave us a good insight and also enlightened us into your own creative process and also sharing your cultural heritage with us. And then talking about how a childhood thing can suddenly become a design project. And that's very inspiring. So we really appreciate you joining us. And thank you so much, Amrita, for introducing Garkan to Sadea and for bringing him. So really appreciate. And thanks to all the audience for joining. So we appreciate you, and keep Sadea in your minds and join our future events as well. So again, thank you so much, Gurkhan. And you all have a wonderful afternoon. Take care, everyone. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Um,
Yeah.